Did the Tim Tebow bandwagon just grow by one? Broncos Executive Vice President John Elway has been slow to praise his starting quarterback until now. After saying just a few weeks ago he didn't believe the future quarterback of the franchise was currently on the roster, and then he said he's week to week. Well, listen to what he was saying last night on his radio show.
You look at just this season, and you look at the impact that he's had on this season, and not so much, or not only athletically of him running around and throwing the football, but I think that his presence has been just huge, and his confidence and his competitiveness and the transformation and the input that the importance that he's had. By no means can you put a number on how important he's been to this team, and I think that he's rallied everybody around him. I'm hoping to spend as much time as possible with him this offseason and give him what I know and be able to help him with the quarterback position.
Wow. Okay, so clearly we've got a shift in thinking with John Elway. That's the most praise we've heard him, maybe the only praise we've heard him give Tim Tebow. Yeah. Are you buying John Elway's buy-in on Tim Tebow?
A little bit, and I'm going to tell you why. Obviously, up through even last week, John Elway was basically describing Tim Tebow as week to week.
Yeah.
And yet, I think it dawned on John Elway on Sunday night that he's now in danger of going from Denver's biggest hero to Denver's biggest villain. And I think, if you heard correctly, if you read between the lines, he's now found a way out. Would you quit reading your BlackBerry while I'm talking, please? You need to be educated about this. You realize that John Elway clearly did not draft Tim Tebow. As I keep saying, he's not his cup of Tebow. But there's one way that John Elway could make Tim Tebow his guy, that he could take credit for Tim Tebow going into next year. And that is to say what he just said. I'd like to work carefully and closely with Tim Tebow throughout an offseason without a lockout. That way, he can make him more of his guy next year, his creation next year. And I'm okay with that. So I'm going to give it about a 25% chance now that Tim Tebow stays with the Denver Broncos.
He could help Tim Tebow at quarterback, couldn't he?
They're very different, but I think he could help.
Okay. All right.
Well, why is it so unbelievable that maybe John Elway is just evaluating this process as it unfolds? Like, why
because he's so slow on the trigger. Because it's so unfair to the rookie first-round draft pick quarterback. That's why.
It's not unfair. It's not unfair.
Well, I mean, he's in his rookie starts. Right?
Yeah.
He has 2 fewer starts than Cam Newton does, right?
He does.
But he is a second-year quarterback. He went through his rookie year before.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's not unfair for him to look objectively at what's going on and be able to assess it and change his mind as he goes. There's nothing wrong with that. He has that right. And I think it's a good thing that he's going to work with Tim Tebow in the offseason. That's a positive thing. It would be discouraging if he was saying something different.
Isn't everyone in the league week to week when you get right down to it?
No.
I don't mean that in a literal sense, but Coach, when you see things from a player that you're not sure whether or not he's your guy or not, aren't you judging him week to week if you're not sure?
What you're trying to do, Jay, is you're always trying to maintain a level of objectivity so that you can make decisions that aren't emotionally based, but are based on what's best for the team.
Which is all you have done, is make make all of these decisions based on emotion. That's all you've done. You're sitting here and talking about, you're sitting here and talking about he has been unfair to Tim Tebow, a man that went to the Super Bowl 5 times, a man that went to
what
the
have
Super Bowl
I told you
a
again
man that is a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. This is the position that he plays. Wait a minute, this is not about some guy that was a star looking for stars all across the board. This is about a man that starred at quarterback, who is looking at a quarterback, who understands what it takes to be successful on the NFL level.
Does
because
he? I'm not sure about that.
You do. The great Skip Bayless knows, but not John Elway. You know, but John Elway doesn't know.
I'm saying I know and he doesn't.
He has looked at a man in Tim Tebow, a young man, fabulous young man, who can't throw a football.
He still can't throw the football.
Excuse me. He had a great day Sunday. No, this is Tuesday. This is not yesterday. Yesterday, I paid homage. I spent an hour listening to your dribble. You're talking all this nonsense.
Dribble? My facts and my stats?
No. Your 7-1 record that you're leaning on, acting like
let's forget about it. Let's throw it out.
Nothing to do.
The record doesn't matter.
Did I interrupt you when you spoke? Then zip it. I'm talking.
Here, I'll do it. Wait, give me- Give me the BlackBerry.
Get off of my BlackBerry.
I need a BlackBerry.
You want to
Somebody give me a BlackBerry.
Get over it right now. And don't sit there and try to evade the issue. The issue is very, very simple. Tim Tebow still has a lot to learn. And John Elway, one of the great quarterbacks in NFL history. Go ahead and read your notes. I know you hear me. He's one of the great quarterbacks in NFL history. He has a right to sit there and evaluate. You can't look at a man that doesn't show up for the first 45 to 50 minutes of a game and say, I'm going to place my faith in this, in this franchise. I didn't say that. What I said is that you can't sit there and definitively state that the future is this guy when for the first 45 minutes of every game he's virtually non-existent. You can't do that.
Guess whose fault that is?
Oh, it's everybody's fault, but
The coach's fault. It's the play caller's fault.
Does Tim
You better
have
believe
any
it is.
accountability in all of this? Any?
None.
None whatsoever.
Because when
45
it's time,
45
he
minutes.
plays the way nobody in this league is playing right now.
Let me ask a question. You'll get a chance to speak for 45 minutes. When this dude, I'm talking, even though will concede there was several drop passes this past Sunday.
Six.
No doubt about it.
There were a lot.
There were about six. It was about six. You're right.
Should have been 10-0 Denver going.
What I'm trying to say to you is that he's now started in 8 games. He's 7-1 over that period of time. We've watched him for 8 games. Are you trying to tell me that for the first 45 minutes, when this boy has looked as bad as he looked, you're trying to sit here on national television and you're going to say none of it was his fault?
None.
Something is wrong. I don't even know.
What did I tell you yesterday?
We have to find somebody to tell
One of these days.
We have to find somebody.
One of these days.
Somehow.
This coaching staff will, my favorite word, unleash. They will unleash Tim Tebow in the first quarter the way they have to.
That guy Porter should have never made that video. Unleash. That's what everybody's going to play next. I know it's coming. It's ridiculous. Hollywood. I'm calling you Hollywood from now on. That's what you're going to unleash. Oh, go ahead. Hollywood.
Don't you think it's John Elway's job to be fair to everybody on that team by being objective and not being emotional?
He doesn't believe that. He believes, let's be fair to Tim Tebow and forget everybody else. Forget the other 52 guys on the roster. They have nothing to do with this. Didn't you know, Coach? It's only because of Tim Tebow that they are 7-1. He is the only reason.
I never said that. But more important, Tim Tebow never said that, and you know it.
I know Tim Tebow never said it. I don't have a problem with anything Tim Tebow says. I have a problem with his voice box. And what you say about him. That's what I have a problem.
Have I made it up?
That's what I have a problem with.
Have I made up what happens in the fourth quarters again and
extremely
again
embellished this play.
and again?
You have extremely
that it's left
embellished
you
this
on
play.
your floor every Sunday night, rolling on your floor saying, how did he do that
I will
again?
admit I have.
Am I right about that?
That was the case Sunday night.
Yeah.
The next time that happens, Stephen A., please have someone take a picture so we can share that with our audience.
We'll get into
Next topic. Let's move it. Let's move it down the line because ultimately, at 7-1, you can't deny that the Broncos are a much better team now than they were with Kyle Orton for whatever reason. But the elephant in the room here is why hasn't Tebow been embraced as the long-term solution at quarterback for this football team? Most times, quarterbacks come in, go 7-1, they have a lock on the job. So the question is, would you commit to Tebow as a starter for next season right now? Coach, you're the guy. Would you?
You have to let things unfold, and you have to see how this plays out. And
So you're saying no.
And you have to
Say
see
no.
what the other options are. But Skip, let me ask you this: when Kyle Orton went 6-0, should they have committed to him forever as the quarterback? Just
They did.
Because he went to 6-0.
They did. And then what happened? He went 4-14
exactly.
over his last
Did you feel
18.
that was right?
I never said. Nobody ever asked me on the
So-
show.
so
You know why?
why- but
Because
why is
nobody
this
cared
different?
about Kyle Orton on this show.
But what I'm saying is, why is this different? Why not let all the information become apparent and then make a decision at that point?
That's your point. That's your.
So at the end of the season is what you're saying. Let's finish it out.
See what happens.
Okay.
See how much he develops. See what you think the ceiling is.
Right.
See what the other options are, and then make a
So
decision.
you're not sold as the starter for next year. Stephen A.?
Coach, I'm not the nice, genteel man that you are. I'll say it in a way that my man here can understand. And I know it's more than television, so I'll watch what I say. Hell no. Absolutely, positively no. No, you don't sit there and give him the future, the keys to the franchise's future. You don't do that. For what? Let's see what he does as the season progresses. If you are struggling to throw the football as much as he has struggled to throw the football, you don't sit there and look to next season and say, it's yours. There's no way we're going to give it to anybody. Absolutely, positively not. You do not do it. You see what he's going to do. Now that the pressure is mounted, the secret's out. The great Tim Tebow is coming our way. We've got to watch out for him. He's winning football games. Let's see what happens down the road. Even if he makes the playoffs, let's see what happens. Even though I will admit he gets them in the playoffs, and he performs well, you might. I mean, come on now, you might have to start this next season with him. But let's see. There's still about 4 games left.
To both of you haters, I have only this to say.
Haters.
Hit it,
How
Rochelle.
can you label us that?
This kid is a gamer. He's a hustler. He's a playmaker. And a shot.
We need our own rap video.
Oh, yeah. See,
That's
now
all
he
I
has
have
that on
to
his
say.
side.
That's all I have to say now. That's my calling card. And all of you haters, just watch that.
Now, wait a minute, Skip. That's